So every story that has a happy ending, if you follow long enough, it later has a sad ending because we all die in the end. But don't worry about that. Don't think it through too much.
I lost over $324,000 in a failed Amazon business, but I came back. And when I tell people that, they ask, well, how'd you do that? And the word resiliency comes to mind, but then that got me wondering, what does that mean? And can we teach people to be resilient, or is it a trait? And I figure that if we ask enough people and talk to enough people, maybe we can build a framework of resiliency so that we can teach people how to come back, because time is undefeated and persistence usually wins. So today we're talking to one of my, I just really still can't believe this guest is here. The winner of the 2005 Ultimate Fighter. If you ever watched that TV show in the early aughts, it was awesome. He was the heavyweight champion of the world, UFC champion of the world. I can't believe it. He's the vice president of fighter development at the UFC. Forrest Griffin, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thank you for having me, Nick. Spelled the cool way. What's happening, man?
Not much.
You got? Is that a screensaver back there?
It's a special beach edition of the Resiliency Project podcast, which is, we're here to talk about resiliency. And so, look, we usually kick it right off. And I just ask you straight up, what was your biggest failure?
Man, so many. God, we could be here all day. It's so hard. I've had so many good failures. It's hard to settle on one. I'll give you a little background about me. I'm amazing. That's all you need to know. No, I work at the UFC, like you said, in fighter development. And, I think what makes me uniquely qualified is the fact that I've gotten to be at the top of the mountain a couple times. I've gotten to feel like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing in the world. And then I've been what felt like under the mountain several times in my career, in my life. I found all kinds of, I've been lucky. Now, the problem is a lot of that was also bad luck. So I got really lucky getting on the show, last minute replacement to the Ultimate Fighter. And then, I got really lucky. You get sick before this fight. Oh, but this guy in another fight, well, he had a bad knee injury going into that fight. So I got lucky. But then this other guy, so again, luck, we got to look at luck, right? It's just circumstance. It's not always good. It's not always bad. It's both. So one of the biggest losses for me, and when I do get a chance to speak, I always like to show the footage, was kind of the early in my career. If you watch me, I'm coming out, I'm smiling, I'm having the best time in the world. I was fighting this mean Keith Jardine. Well, he's the dean of mean, and he's now having a very successful movie career. Actually, a really nice guy, side note. But we're fighting, and we are in the co-main event of the storied rivalry between, so the fight after us is Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, legends in the sport, the biggest guys at 205. Hey, we're also 205ers. So there's even talk that like, hey, Forrest, Golden Boy, if you win this, you could, you could maybe fight for the belt. And it was, it was like, wow, nobody wants to fight Chuck Liddell, but I definitely want that belt, so this is pretty awesome. And then, of course, I got knocked out in the first round. Made a silly mistake. And then I cried, and I'm a very ugly crier, and it was quite amazing. Lots of crying. And then I was absolutely fine. And you said, well, what do you mean you're absolutely? Yeah, by Monday I was like, all right, I'm going to go back into the gym. I hope nobody's like, oh my God, how are you doing? Like, dude, I'm fine. I'm past it. I moved on. I made a silly mistake. I didn't quit on myself. My body said, nah, not today. Your brain is not going to allow your body to talk, and you're going to kind of move like Frankenstein. And it was a good stoppage. There were like 14 more seconds to go in the first round. So he would have, had they let the fight go, he probably would have hurt me pretty bad. But I was fine. I was healthy. Nothing was hurt. I did all the work, and I didn't quit on myself. Those are the big two things, I did the work. I put myself in hard places time and time again, and I overcame those things in practice. And I wanted to be there. That's the other thing. Like, you talk about this everybody loves sports psychology and mental wellness and all that, but if you want to just do what you want to do, like that's all there is to it. Like, I want to do this. I want this opportunity to beat this fella, to fight for this belt. There's feelings and there's chemicals in my body that are telling me crazy things, but at the end of the day, you're where you want to be, and you're fortunate to be there. Anyway, got my ass whooped, and then nothing changed. I was fine. Like, if anything, I was like, oh, okay. And then, I'd kind of been the golden boy, whether I wanted to or not, because I'd won the Ultimate Fighter a year and a half before. And then it was like all the hate came out. Well, he never fought anybody. They were protecting him. This is the first real guy he's fought, and he got his ass whooped. He was never that good. Actually, you know what? That whole show is a rig. I was like, wow. But didn't really bother me that much, if I'm being honest. Because, I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to win some more fights. They'll all love me again. Fuck them.
Huh. You said something interesting there that I really want to highlight, which is that you put in the work. And there's this idea that I take from professional poker players called resulting, where you can play the hand perfectly, right? Play the math exactly right and still lose. But you just focused on the fact that the process was good. Just because the result was bad doesn't mean the process or the person is bad. For you, where did that framework of that mindset come from? Because it's clear that you have it. Where do you think that clicked for you, that it wasn't, okay, look, just because that didn't go well doesn't mean I'm bad or the process is bad. I just made a mistake, so here's what I need to do. How did you gain that clarity?
I really don't know. I was like 26 or 27, I wasn't exactly I don't know. I mean, I definitely wasn't thinking too hard about it. That's just kind of what I thought, And the idea is, I knew some kids that were smart, but they wouldn't study for the test. So when they got a C or a B, they were like, C, but I didn't really try. So I was like, man, why? Why are you telling me you didn't try to study for the, like, I tried really hard and I got the same grade as you. Like, but I feel okay about it because, you basically made excuses and you created your own excuses so that because you were afraid to fail, to give it all and fail. So that, it's kind of honestly that, like, kids bragging to me that they didn't study that hard and they still got a C. And I was like, well, maybe if you'd have studied hard, you could have got a B or an A. Like, that's dumb. So yeah, the idea is like, the only thing is really effort, effort. And then the other thing that I always look for, because I work with a lot of these athletes, is you got to remember, you want to be here. You get to do this. Yes, there's some scary things. And I'm not a big fan of fear. I don't talk about it. I don't vocalize it. I don't want you to vocalize it to me. I don't want to hear it. But you lose 2-3 fights in a row, you're going to lose your job. Well, I knew after the Keith Jardine fight, I wasn't going to lose my job. I knew I would get a second chance. I did. And, I came back, ended up being the champion, right? So every story that has a happy ending, if you follow it long enough, it later has a sad ending because we all die in the end. But don't worry about that. Don't think it through too much.
So, I mean,
happily ever after until we died.
One of the things that you told me recently is that the average UFC fighter lasts only 3 fights, right?
No. So it's if you make it past 3 fights, you last about 9 fights or 3 years is the thing. So it's actually 9 fights, 3 years. It's kind of in line with other sports, basketball, NBA, NFL, and I don't know what hockey does.
But a lot of guys, but I guess my point is from what you were saying, a lot of guys to get that first fight, get their butt kicked and just limp out, right? Just like, okay, wow.
A lot of guys go 0 and guys and gals, they go 0-2 and that's a wrap. It's back to doing whatever it is they were doing. So again, there's the fact that you're doing this fighting thing, and then there's the fact that it's also your livelihood, how you support your family. I know guys that are, 10, 15 fights in, but you still get cut. You lose 2-3 in a row, you're going to get cut. And so it's a meritocracy, but at the same time, there's also the blade is always above your head.
And so how do you coach people through that kind of that pressure and that ability to say that, all right, well, even if you fail, you got to come back, but really you only got 1 or 2 shots. So how do you manage that kind of push and pull of like, you got to stay positive, but still, you got that blade?
First off, you're not working a day job. So that's good. You wanted to do this, not sell shoes at your brother's store. So let's acknowledge that. And then the second thing is, well, if you do lose, at least know in your heart, know in your head that you did everything you could to maximize that moment. Again, this is sometimes a career, but sometimes it's an opportunity. And this is the crazy thing is when I started, I did not want, or I wanted, but I didn't think that I would just be in the UFC and that I would never work again, that I would just always work for the UFC. Certainly didn't think that. I thought, I'm pretty good. I could do that for 4 or 5 years. I could probably make more money doing that than I can as a cop. And then, I can retire and go teach defensive tactics at some cop school. Cool. Like I had a backup plan. I didn't know, how far I could go. I was like, make a little money, save some money.
Well, now take me through that. How would we get from where you were as a cop to here as a UFC former heavyweight champion now working for the UFC? How'd that happen?
Well, first off, I realized that I was not good enough at football to play for the University of Georgia. That was the first step. I was pretty decent at, damn near mediocre at football. And then I was like, wow, levels, as they say. And I saw some guys at they were actually called the Hardcore Gym at the time. I saw some guys in a room in the college gym beating the shit out of each other, and I thought, that looks fun, as anyone would. That looks fun. I'll bet I could do that. I went in and I got beat up by a skinny dude and a fat dude. So I got beat up by Laurel and Hardy. They're both about the same size now, so they've both like evened out. But yeah, they were the Singer brothers, the founders of the Hardcore Gym. And then at one point I was like just gassed, and I was like, I didn't even know how to tap out. I was getting punched in the body. I didn't know what was happening. And there was like a 98-pound Asian woman, and I was like, all right, my ego can't handle it. Keep her away from me. Just like, no, not with please the Asian girl. And I'm not being like, I'm not stereotyping. She really was there. And I was like, I don't need that. I can't. I won't be able to sleep. Yes.
Well, all right. So what kept you coming back then?
First, I had always thought I was a decent fighter, because every dude does. And I was pretty big, and I've been in a lot of fights. And, I was about a 50-50, 500 record, which is odd to say that I still would be, I think I was good at fighting, even though I probably lost half of them in the street. But progress. I got beat up 1% less than I did last time, 1% less than I did. And then fast forward 3 years, and I was, physically the best guy in the room.
So take us through
when you're getting beat up, if you feel like you're getting better, that's a kind of addictive feeling when you're improving at something. And then just to fast forward, like later in my career, around 35, I could feel, no matter how good I tried to get technically, that I was getting slower and I was getting worse. And that's a horrible feeling. And you're like, but I'm doing the work. My body's just not responding the way it used to. What's happening?
And so take us through that part of your career. That's what I actually was going to. The end, right? So now you're slowing down. You're slowing down.
I didn't quit. My body quit me, I like to say. No, I thought I had. Look, I realized I lost a rematch to Shogun, and that was a fight I had a really good camp for. So like everything went well. I was talking to you about luck being good and bad. What? Like I was pretty healthy. Things were pretty good. Nothing, a lot of fights I lost. There were things that happened that were kind of like, allow me in my own head to make justifications and excuses and reasons. They're pretty close. They're cousins, don't worry about that. But excuses are good. They'll protect your ego, especially if it's, they come from a real thing. But for that fight, I had no excuse. So I said, okay, had a good camp, got knocked out in the first round. It's not good. I'm not going to be champion again. I'll probably never be in the top 10, but I can fight other old guys in main events. Fast forward maybe 2 years, I blew my knee out, ACL, MCL, meniscus, like 20 days out from a fight, and then I blew it out again. I tore the meniscus, or tore the MCL off the bone, playing soccer with 5-year-olds. But they were like Brazilian World Cup 5-year-olds. Okay, so they were
very good.
Really good. They were really good. And I was with my daughter, and then she was like, "Daddy, I'm tired. Carry me home." And I was like, "My knee is destroyed. You're gonna have to walk, sweetie. I cannot carry you home. My knee. You're gonna carry me home. All 40 pounds. You know? Yeah."
So how do you transition now into a VP of fighter development? What you're doing now? Take us through that.
This is a cool story. So Dana White and Lorenzo Fertitta go to 3 Square Food Bank. So I do that, the cameo videos where you do. So all the money I get goes to them. I had some decent lucrative years. So I definitely tied through a little bit to church and to charities that I believed in. And, I was on WIC as a kid. So food, and I worked at a food bank as a volunteer when I was a kid. And I loved it because I like moving heavy things because I'm a weirdo. They're doing a tour, and then the people at 3 Square go, "Hey, do you know this guy named Forrest Griffin?" I think and Lorenzo and Dana laugh. They're like, "Yeah, he fights for us. Of course we know him." And they're like, "Yeah, he came in, didn't say he was anybody special, just got on the line, start working, and him and his wife come here, once or twice a month and volunteer, and then out of the blue, he just drops us a big check every now and again." And so after the fight, I would, take care of everybody that had helped me, and then, if there was a little more to charity, right? So and that was so they see that, "Oh, dude, Forrest, a classic guy," Right? So they brought me on for athlete development and charity, and a lot of what I did in the first couple of years was I was on the Boys Town Foundation. I would just basically go as the UFC's kind of stand-in for that, and I would just get asked for money. Can we have some of the UFC's money? And I'm like, oh my gosh, it was that kind of stressful because they're, it's legitimate good charities, and I got involved and I started doing some volunteering and all that stuff. It was cool, and then I started doing more of the, what do fighters need when they retire? What do fighters need? What do we need to tell our population so they can maximize the amount of money they can make during what is a shorter than you think career? How can they, and again, something we're talking about, how can they understand what their tax liability is? Mm. How do they have a basic knowledge of investments? Again, our athlete population comes from, I want to say, 78 different countries. No, sorry, 78 different countries speaking 38 different languages. So the tax implications, the money you save, the play. I fought in Brazil, I fought in Ireland, I fought in places that tax the hell out of you. I fought in South Africa. They always there's a different tax structure for all of them. How can we help these athletes understand that? And then my piece was, how can I help these guys understand that while this is the most impactful moment of your life, it is not forever. It's your dream job, but it's not your forever job. It's your dream job, but it's not your forever job. You will at some point be here and I'd be on the stage saying, "Hey, what the hell? What's my next great passion?" And the thing is, have you set yourself up? Can you continue living the way you are for the next 3 years? Do you know what I'm saying? Can you, do you have investments? Do you have, money set aside for your school? Have you figured out how to maximize, I guess I would say how to minimize the amount of taxes you pay in your big earning years, And I had a friend and she fought in the UFC and she made $200,000, $200,000, $300,000, and the next year she made $40,000. The next year she made nothing.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what do I do? Lifestyle creep is real. Even today I understand it. I'm used to making $200,000 a year for those 3 or 4 years. I got accustomed to that, and now I don't have a lot of life skills. I don't have. Not life skills. These athletes have a lot of life skills. They don't have work skills. They don't have resumes. And again, Olympic athletes are kind of in the same boat,
Right.
Well, I'm really good at riding a bike around a track really fast. Really good at that. I'm also 29 and I can't do that anymore. I guess I could coach that, but there's a lot of people that want to coach. And there's better coaches than me, and I don't love it, Or What do I do? So, I got to talk to an organization that worked with the Olympians, like just on like, what does retirement look like? What does it look like for your health? What does it look like for your wealth? So that's kind of what we were doing. And we did seminars and symposiums, and I was fortunate enough to get to go to both the NFL and the NBA's like little pre-rookie camp, so it was pretty cool.
Well, so let me ask you, who taught you about all this? How did you come to, your own realization that, I need to learn some more of these skills if I'm going to be able to become successful?
Life. She is a cruel coach. She's a cruel teacher, I should say. She is not nice about the way she teaches. Just one day you wake up and you got a bum knee and a bum shoulder, and you're like, oh man, what did I do? No, I was fortunate. When I retired, I felt like I had a lot of options because I was still pretty young. I was 36 when I retired. And, I could do some commentary, and I'm not the worst guy to talk on screen, and I could do some things. I'd done a lot of little like gimmicky acting stuff before. So I had some options, and this was just kind of the one that, I was still going out and, kind of talking and commentating fights and doing breakdowns of fights. And then I was even coaching a little bit and thinking maybe that. And the coaching, I'm cornering a kid in the UFC, and he's never going to make as much money as I have right now. And I'm sitting in a van for 2 hours, and we would walk in and people would like ask me for my picture autograph when it's my guy's time. And I was like, I don't. And then I'm like, I'm really going to take, $260 from this kid for the week. Like that's where I'm at. That's what I'm doing here. It's like,
yeah.
I don't even hold mitts because my shoulders are shot. So I'm really not the guy, I'm not even like, yeah. I mean, back then I was trying to hold mitts a little bit, but I was like, I'll do it like fight week, but that's it. But it's like, why am I here? Like, what am I? This isn't, if I could just run 2 or 3 hours of practices a day and tell guys what they should do, fine. But I'm not. And then also they don't listen. But I told you you shouldn't do that. It's like I had a lot of friends that were pretty good, and I was like, man, I don't know if she's good for you. I don't know if this woman's the thing, or guys too. Women in the sport. I'm gonna just totally shoot myself in the foot here, but I think women in the sports, heterosexual or homosexual, they have bigger sex drives than most women, or bigger like desire, I would say. Just there's more testosterone. And I've seen women just like wasted on some dude that's a loser, and I'm like, man, you were pretty talented. But I had a buddy who was pretty good. He had this hot Brazilian wife, and she want to go out and she want to have fish. And I was like, you can't go out and eat. You're on a very strict diet, bro. You got to fight in 3 weeks. Like, what? Just like, you're going to go out and have a glass of wine? And I'm just going to eat the fish. I was like, what? It was like, this is ridiculous, bro. She's not on the team. My wife was on the team. My wife, like, here's half a sweet potato. Here's 10 ounces of chicken breast. Here's some hot sauce. Enjoy. Like, I was like, dude, she's not like, and you know what happened to that guy though? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. I have no idea, but he did not get the UFC.
Did not make it. All right. Well, listen, Forrest, we do something where the last guest asks my current guest a question. This one comes from former NFL great Aaron Taylor. He asks you, mustard or ketchup on hot dog?
Oh, God, jeez. Man, I know the correct answer is mustard. I know that's the correct answer. I know it is. But I go both.
Wow. Why? Yeah. Why choose? Right. I mean, it's a marriage.
You think about like corned beef, right? Which is basically a hot dog and you always put mustard on that,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
That's a mustard thing, Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the important question, I think. If anybody gets anything out of this interview. I hope it's that they know they can go ketchup and mustard.
Mustard. They can do it all. Well, actually,
Yeah.
the last question we ask every guest is, so what does the word resiliency mean to you?
Well, I have it up on the dictionary. No, I'm gonna anti-answer your question and say it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it means to me. It doesn't matter even what it means to you. Just for anyone listening, just the only thing that matters is how they feel about it and just kind of their desire to move forward in a thing. And what I always say is this is a very proven principle. If you enjoy a thing, you're naturally going to be better at it. So, try to enjoy what you're doing. I'm not saying just, you have to find the job you love. Just try to enjoy what you're doing. Like, try to appreciate and enjoy what you're doing. It will make you better at it. So I've never needed resiliency. And I've never needed it because I wanted to fight. Like, I just wanted to do it. Like, that was my thing, So it didn't really require resiliency when I got knocked out by Keith, or when I got knocked out by Anderson, or when I got knocked out by Rashad, or when I got knocked out by a lot of them, Jeremy. They all knocked me out, and I won fights after all those knockouts. And it was just because I wasn't done with the sport. Like, I still wanted to I still thought it was fun. So and I talked to a lot of fighters. Today, they're way more educated than we were. They got this thing called the YouTube. I don't know if you're familiar.
I believe there's even a YouTube university now. Yeah.
These guys are all got their PhDs in it. They all got PhDs in this YouTube university nonsense. And they're telling me about the feelings and the strategies and the resilience. Now, we have sports psychology here, and it's very useful. But, man, just like enjoy practice, enjoy training. Like, if you're getting your ass kicked, smile. It will be okay. It's like, I don't know. For me, simple is the way to go. So that's resiliency for me.
That's phenomenal.
It's unneeded.
Forrest, thank you so much for being here with us on the Resiliency Project podcast. I think we all
the Resiliency Project.
I know, it's useless. But remember, one of the things that I took away from today, for sure, is to focus on the fact that we want to be here, that we put ourselves here, and that we must keep going because this is where we wanted to be. And I think that is a beautiful sentiment.
And it's like Chuck Liddell said, I'm not good at anything else, so I gotta be here. That's what he said about fighting. It's like, I'm not good at anything. It's like, I hate being. He would get a master's degree in accounting. It's like, I hate it. I hate it.
But if you remember that you want to be here, and it's much easier to press forward. Forrest,
he hated accounting, loved fighting. Yeah. And then, look, it's easy to love a thing you're good at, but it's going to be hard to love a thing that beats you up sometimes. But, when I started, I sucked, but I sucked less and less every time. So I love that. So anyway, find an aspect of something you can love.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you, Forrest. Thank you so much for being here.
Don't start random Amazon businesses.
That is very good advice.
Never work.
Guys, thanks so much for listening. Until next time, we'll see you.